Is your dog a destructive chewer? There's chewing and then there's chewing. Today, we're going to talk about what to do about the destructive chewing. And for you new puppy parents, you need to take note because I'm going to tell you how to prevent it from becoming a habit. Michelle here with How to Train a Dream Dog. All right, let's get going on a few reasons why you might see this really destructive chewing. For one, the dog has access to something that they shouldn't. Dogs don't know the difference between something he should chew on, like a stuffed dog toy, and something that he shouldn't, like a couch cushion. Can you imagine trying to explain to a dog why one is okay for him and the other one's not? It makes no sense. Now, the couch cushion or forbidden chew object could have a pleasant scent, especially if it smells like his favorite humans. It might have an interesting texture that feels good on his gums, or is just fun to chew. The bottom line is that you have to do the appropriate puppy proofing, so he can't get to stuff like this. Now, I'm going to talk more about that in just a minute, but I want to make sure you're using a crate when you leave the house. Now, I know you might be thinking that you want your dog to have more room to roam around and move while you're away. Ooh, but did you know that the more room your dog has to roam, the more he could pace out of anxiety or stress? That could actually lead to chewing. Now, if he loves his crate, and I know he does because you've been following my crate training advice, then you'll probably simply be asking him to just hang out in his favorite room and relax until you come home. This isn't punishment or being mean. It's a safe place for him and it's also good for him. Dogs are likely to chew and destroy things like walls, baseboards, the plastic tray of their crate, and the entire piece of furniture when they're bored or stressed. Now, this could be due to separation anxiety, lack of mental or physical exercise, too much time alone, or even scary sounds. Now, when I have clients call me with this behavior, I can't go right into training the dog not to chew on the wall. I actually have to take a step back and look at the dog's overall life and see if we've got some changes that need to be made to his schedule or his emotions. Now, if you have a younger dog, this chewing behavior is probably due to teething. A dog's teeth are moving all throughout the first year, but you should see it subside a lot after about 8 months of age. Now, it's still really important to not let this kind of destructive chewing even happen, even if you think it'll subside when he gets older. The more you let your dog do it, the more of a habit it will be. You'll want to redirect onto the appropriate object that he can chew. So this brings me to a question I get a lot. But Michelle, if I allow him to chew on something like furniture, even if it's a dog toy, won't that encourage him to chew on the furniture? Nope, and nobody knows. You see, the more a dog can get his chewing urge out on the appropriate items, the less likely he's going to seek out on something you don't want. So, of course, managing the space is also still really important. But the more you meet his needs as part of his overall day, the less you'll see this destructive behavior. Remember, dogs don't care what they chew. You do. So it's up to you to make it work for him. He's just trying to fit into your world. You have to teach him. Okay, let's talk about what to do about this. So when our students who are enrolled in the online course present an issue like this to me, we're going to always work through a problem-solving method called PMET. Now, this stands for Prevention, Management, Enrichment, and Training. So I'm going to use an example of Betty, who has a dog named Harold. Harold has been chewing at the baseboards when Betty goes to work and when she's busy doing household chores. She wants to know what to do about it. So let's go through this with her to create the plan. First, we're going to talk about prevention. Now, how are we going to prevent Harold from getting to those baseboards? Well, it sounds like Harold needs to be in a crate when Betty leaves for work. So as long as Harold has a positive association with the crate and he's had his needs met before going in, he should nap or snooze while Betty's gone. And if this is happening when Betty's home and Harold is just hanging out, well, it sounds like Harold has a little too much freedom. Betty might need to use a puppy pen to keep Harold a little more contained. Or maybe block off access to that area using baby gates, or just close doors to rooms he shouldn't be in. Now, once Harold starts to chew on a spot he'll probably keep trying to get to it. So preventing it from happening is going to be really important. New puppy parents, this is where I want you to pay attention. Don't give your puppy too much freedom too soon. It's a lot easier to prevent something from becoming a habit than it is to untrain it after it's already happened. If you want to know how and when to open up new rooms to your dog, this video is going to walk you through it. Okay, let's talk about management. Alright, some of my students really struggle to figure out how management is different than prevention. So, management is your plan for if prevention kind of falls through. Maybe Betty got distracted and forgot to close the pen door, and Harold made a beeline for the baseboards, and now he's gnawing on it again. Management is what Betty's gonna do now. Now, I don't want her to simply just grab Harold's collar and pull him away. That is not an effective way of dealing with this, and Harold may actually get frustrated and redirect his stress onto Betty with a growl or a nip. So, one suggestion I have for Betty is to do a treat scatter in another area to draw him away. Then, that'll give her some time to block off the access that she came up with as part of her prevention plan. Now, Betty could also use a valuable treat or a toy or start engaging with him in another room. So whatever it takes to draw his interest away is what I want her to do. Just remember that management should only be used if prevention falls through the cracks. Her very first plan of attack should be the prevention. Now, let's get into the other two pieces of our PMAT plan, enrichment and training. So enrichment refers to the overall well-being of the dog. There are actually 14 parts of enrichment, including proper food, hygiene, and even safety. Now, most people think of it just as giving the dog puzzle toys, but it's really more than that. So, assuming Harold is getting good nutrition and grooming, I would probably suggest to Betty that she make sure he's got plenty of things to chew on, especially of different textures that allow for some novelty. I would also check to see that he's getting in some good decompression walks and time to sniff. If Betty isn't playing some sniffy find it games with Harold, that might be a great plan. Harold might be a lab. If he is, he probably loves to chew and shred and gnaw and retrieve, or otherwise use his mouth. Harold, we want you to use those powers for good, not evil. I actually have one of those types of dogs that just loves to chew. I actually have 3 of them. It can be really hard to find toys that don't get destroyed in a hot minute. There's one toy that has lasted a really long time in this household. It's called the Indestructible Bone, and it's a really long-lasting dog toy. I'm going to put the link in the description below, and if you use the code DREAMDOG, you'll get 10% off. Now, another tip for those of you with oral dogs, you might find they love to shred, but they eat the cardboard or the paper. Ooh, not a good plan. You can teach them how to spit it out with a good drop it cue, but you might also give him a yummy treat in something consumable like cabbage or lettuce. Alright, the last part of our PMAT plan is training. Most people think this is the first part. Michele, what game do I play that will teach my dog not to chew on the walls? As you see, there's actually a lot that goes into it before we even get to the training. Training is actually the smallest piece. But Betty can teach Harold to choose another object instead of the wall. Now, one of the games in my online course actually sets up sessions where the dog chooses to avoid the thing he shouldn't have, like the wall, and chooses something else instead. This is called the Choice is Yours, puppy, and it's the beginning of teaching the puppy how to make good decisions on their own. It's a great game. You can apply it to a lot of different things. And it's the beginning of good skills like leave it and drop it, which I also teach in my course. Now, I mentioned that I'd have to talk to Betty a bit more about Harold's daily schedule before I just jumped right into what to do about it. Now, in a lot of cases like this, we actually find that the dog's daily life is just a little short on the enrichment and the exercise. And this means we really need to work on Harold's activities and find him things that tire him out just a bit more. So maybe he's got a lot of physical exercise in his day, but not enough mental. Maybe they do a lot of training with him, but this boy needs to do a few hearty games of fetch. It's gonna be different for each dog, but knowing what helps your dog settle well when you're busy is really important. And if you feel like you're just plumb out of ideas when it comes to activities that will tire him out, I've got a great video that you can watch next. These are my top 7 tips on how to tire out your dog. I bet if you implemented a few of them into your dog's life, you'd see a big change, for the better. In the comments below, tell me if you've got a destructive chewer and what you've tried. Maybe we can offer a few more suggestions. And If you really appreciated this awesome content, you can give us a super thanks, subscribe to the channel, or share this with a puppy friend. And if I've taught you nothing else, just remember, your dog isn't chewing on the couch or the baseboards of the wall to spite you. He's doing it because it's a natural behavior, and he doesn't know what else you want him to do. Have patience with him, and teach him how to live in your human world. And if you need more help, you know where to find your favorite certified dog trainer.